Hi folks, I hope this finds you well. Trasa here from Natural Back Health. This little chat is about pelvic floors, and it's specifically directed at those of you that are expecting. If you are a pregnant lady, pregnant mammy, and you're expecting a baby soon, or maybe your partner is, or somebody in your life is expecting, they may appreciate if you share this video with them or tag them. And also, if you are planning on getting pregnant, this little bit of information is something to put in your back pocket and think about in coming months as you progress through your pregnancy. So pelvic floors is what we want to talk about. Let's do a little bit of an anatomy lesson first. So we have our cervical spine here, thoracic coming down into our lumbar, and then we've got our pelvis. So we've got these two big bones, then we've got our sacrum and our tailbone. And if I just turn this as though this person is going to be lying down, and you're looking, this is where baby's going to be coming through. So we've got our pubic bones here, got our sitting bones here, and then we've got the tailbone here. And your pelvic floor is made up of many muscles, and they form this diamond. I'll get my shapes right. A diamond with these are the borders. So they have these borders and they're attaching to these points. And it creates, as I said, this diamond shape. And as the baby, so say you're in labor and baby's getting ready to meet you, baby's going to be coming down through the pelvic outlet and through this shape, this diamond shape that's going to be coming through there. And nature is really clever. It knows how to do this. It knows how to do it really well. And what baby does as it's descending into the pelvic outlet, it tucks its chin into its chest, gets nice and snug so it can move down the pelvic outlet, but it doesn't just come straight down. It's not coming like straight down. I think we kind of think it's coming straight down like this. Baby actually pivots and rotates as it's coming down. And that's because it's got a certain shape to work with. And babies have shoulders and they need to turn to move well through the area and come and meet you. And to do this, and to do it well, baby's going to be working with your pelvic floor. So your pelvic floor is part of the architecture. It's part of what the baby is going to be working with as it descends and comes out to meet you. Now, as I said to you, the baby has its chin tucked in and it's going to be pivoting and rotating as it comes through. And it needs something to work with. It needs a fulcrum. It needs something firm to work with as it's coming through. And that's where having a strong pelvic floor, having a flexible pelvic floor is beneficial. So a little bit more anatomy. As the baby is coming through, one of the wonderful things that happens, your tailbone here, now this guy doesn't really move so much, but in a labouring woman, the tailbone extends out, it moves out a little bit. And what that's doing here, it makes a little sling effect in the pelvic floor. So that makes the pelvic floor that little bit firmer for the baby to work with. That fulcrum it needs to move against, that firmness that it needs to be able to pivot with as it's turning and rotating. Now, if you have a weak pelvic floor, if you haven't been doing exercises, stability, mobility, flexibility, there's less for the baby to work with. And it may end up that as you're labouring and as the baby's moving through, it finds it a little bit more difficult to move through the pelvic outlet. And then you may need a little bit of support. There may be some interventions that come into play. So if you are thinking about a natural labour and trying to support a natural labour happening, having a strong and flexible pelvic floor is a really important part of the labouring process. And there's also another aspect of this that's important. So we've just been talking about how it affects the baby, how they need to work with your pelvic floor, and how you want a strong and flexible pelvic floor. But then also for you, during labour, you've got these wonderful things called contractions. So, okay, contractions. That's a muscle contracting, working a muscle. The pelvic floor involved. There's loads of muscles working through this. So you do need strength in that area. You do need strength in the pelvis, in the pelvic floor to endure labour. It's not called labour for nothing, as they say. It may go on for a while, and you need that strength and longevity in there to help support that you can continue with a natural labour and hopefully minimise any interventions. The other side of that is between the contractions, you have relaxation. So, okay, as it gets very close to meeting baby, there's going to be very little of that, but throughout the labour, you are going to have those relaxation points. And that is the point where you need to be able to relax your pelvic floor. And this is something aside even from pregnancy, this is something that a lot of ladies find difficult to do. If I'm working with them for whatever is going on for them and working on their pelvic floor is a part of their recovery, and I'm asking them to work on relaxation exercises for their pelvic floor, they can find it really, really difficult. So we know a lot about Kegels, we know a lot about strengthening, but not so much is there an emphasis on you also need to be able to relax your pelvic floor. The Kegels and the strengthening is massively important. Yes, it is a huge part, but you also need the other end of the spectrum. You need to be able to know and feel and connect to what it feels like to relax your pelvic floor and breathe down into the pelvic floor, which is what you're hoping to do in that relaxation period during labour. You need to know how to relax the pelvic floor. So they're the different components of how your pelvic floor comes into play and what you can do to help during labour. So these are all things that you can do in preparation. So I love working with pregnant ladies. They might be coming in to me with headaches or shoulder pain or back pain, but education is also a huge part of what I do, teaching someone about their body. And in particular for pregnant ladies, I'm teaching them a little bit about what's going on in their body during pregnancy and some of the things that will be going on during labour and how they can work with that, how they can support their own body and obviously also support their baby arriving into the world naturally and safely. So all these little bits add up basically. And with what I'm talking about today, the pelvic floor, this is work that you have to do yourself. No practitioner can do your Kegels for you. No practitioner can do your stretches for you. Nobody can make you flexible or more stable or any of those things are things that you are going to be working on yourself. Finding some classes at the moment with COVID restrictions, we need to do a lot of things online, but finding somebody that's offering stability, mobility, flexibility exercises for during pregnancy and seeing are they fitting with you as you know, every pregnant woman is different and has a different health background and different things going on. So you need to find what works for you, and obviously you have a unique baby too. So finding something that works for you and then getting to work on it, putting in the time, putting in the effort to build strength in your pelvic floor and then elsewhere in your body as well, having that strength and flexibility as well. So I hope you found this little pelvic floor chat helpful. If you've any questions on it, shout out, let me know, and I will do my best to answer them. If I don't know the answer, I will do my best to find out. And yes, if you have someone in your life that is expecting, do share this with them. They may not know it, they may not realize how important their pelvic floor is in labor and how much it can influence a natural, healthy labor and minimize interventions if that's what you are hoping for. Okay, guys, if you are enjoying the videos on this channel, subscribe and share. Okay, take care.